Hi Blake, welcome to FrightFest. How does it feel to be outside doing these things again?
Oh my god, it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing, but also slightly strange how normal it all is. So yes, mate, I just found out that I think FrightFest is the first UK festival to happen since the pandemic, and we're opening it. So that's like a real honour, and that's amazing.
I mean, can you tell us a little bit about Kindred and who you play in it?
So the Kindred is a psychological horror about a woman who is pregnant and has an accident and is then, while she's in a coma, her baby is born. When she wakes up from the coma, the baby's over a year old, and it's this... It's her working out how to connect with this child that she doesn't remember giving birth to. There's a lot of her memory that's gone from the accident as well, and she's just woken up with a child and a responsibility, that is incredibly difficult for her to try and navigate that. And alongside that, she has moved in with her husband and her daughter. I play her husband, Greg, and she has moved into her late father's flat. And there's some odd supernatural sort of things going on involving the baby and other children, and it's very much how much of this is real and how much of this is the psychological effects of the trauma that our lead character, played by April, is going through.
And I mean, obviously, your character is a father, he's a husband, he's been bringing this baby up for a year on his own, pretty much. It's very different to some of the roles that I guess you're more well known for. How was it, playing that sort of character?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, I'm a father myself and a husband myself, so it didn't feel like that far of a stretch in that sense, in terms of like who the character is, but the events and the situations that he's gone through, that's what's very, very different. And that's what was the task, I suppose, is working out both the kind of sensitive element of dealing with a loved one who's been through a trauma, but also the kind of practical and somewhat human, selfish element of thinking that, well, I've had to put my life on hold for over a year because you've been in this horrible situation, and I've been raising our child all on my own. And now you're back and we're in financial difficulty, so I now see you as an opportunity to connect with this child whilst I go and put our life back on track financially. And it's working that balance out of how much of there is sympathy and how much can you allow this kind of like selfish element of the character to come through, because we're all human beings, and as much as you empathize with your loved ones, you also want your own life to improve and be better. And it was about trying to work out where that line is, and I think that was always really interesting, to allow him not to just be, oh, my poor wife, but also have an element of, right, I want my life to get back on track now as well, and that kind of thing.
And I think that's one of the things that really stands out in the film. It's this supernatural element, but it is much more this sort of this relationship drama. There is all this complexity to the characters. Was that when you were reading it what made you want to get involved?
100%. Yeah, I was not interested in necessarily doing, as much as they could be a lot of fun, to be fair, those kind of shallower horrors that are just scare and slasher and all that kind of stuff. This had something that had real depth to it, and I was really interested in pursuing that relationship. In a lot of ways, the scenes between me and April are a different movie. The scenes between me and April are a kind of a slightly dark, traumatic relationship drama. And then some of her scenes away from me are this crazy supernatural horror. And I really love that kind of merging of those kind of two genres, and I think they actually married up incredibly well together.
I mean, you say you're a father. Obviously, one of your co-stars is a baby. Did fatherhood help you out?
100%. I love kids and I love babies, and so I think being a dad and knowing the tricks of and being comfortable around kids. I think babies in particular are really good at picking up just vibes, for want of a better word. And I think if you are anxious around a child and don't know how to hold a baby and all that kind of stuff, I think they won't like it and they'll cry. Whereas if you're quite comfortable around kids and babies and all that, I think they'll be quite chilled out as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's definitely not as easy as that 24/7. I mean, there's a lot of variables to consider. You know what I'm talking about. But so yeah, it doesn't always work. But I think just being quite chilled out and comfortable around kids, I think they can get a vibe for you, and that makes it far easier working with. It's not the first time I've done it. In a film I did with Maxine Peake years ago called Keeping Rosie, which was like a psychological thriller. There was a baby in that as well, and I was the bad guy in that film, kind of, you know, threatening to do some horrible stuff to this baby, but the baby loved me off camera. Big fan of me.
And I mean, obviously you've got the Kindred out, but where can people see you next?
Oh, well, I'm actually going to be on stage, which is amazing. Given the pandemic and everything that's happened and the horrible situation that theatre has been in, I am so privileged and lucky that as soon as things have got back on track, I start rehearsals for a play in a week and a bit, and I cannot wait to get back on stage. It's kind of where I was like training and drama school and all that stuff, and you know, I haven't done a play for a couple of years because of the pandemic and all that stuff, so it's really lovely to be doing that. But outside of that, Kate and Koji Series 2 will be out on ITV at some point next year. And then hopefully World on Fire Series 2 as well, which is a great World War II epic TV show with a phenomenal cast, and I'll be back on that, which will be lovely.